Welcome to episode 2 of the Backstream Podcast. This episode is titled Brotherhood of the Traveling Morphsuit. In today's episode, we discuss Skyline Chili, the most unreliable paranormal investigator in history, and a spoiler-free discussion of the show Fargo. Thank you for listening to our second episode of what we're going to call the Backstream Podcast. Abby and I came up with a name. We actually, right before Thanksgiving, we did a short podcast, kind of like in the midst of getting ready to go to my brother's house for Thanksgiving, and really just kind of a hectic time. And actually we had like more technical difficulties on the second one than we did on the first podcast. And so this time we're trying to do it a little bit more simple. And it's only just after Thanksgiving, so things are still kind of hectic. We're in the whirlwind of the holiday season whenever you're listening to this. So Abby and I are kind of doing a stripped down version of it. We had the first time, which I'm actually surprised that it worked out so well, because we were doing like a visual aspect and the audio aspect, and we were live streaming it on Twitch, and that actually worked out better than it had any right to for the first time that we tried it.
Yeah, it worked out definitely pretty well with like the slideshow and everything, but it is nice also just to talk and not have to worry about the slideshow and all of that also, so.
Right, or the live video.
And the audio. And
we could totally pick our noses here. And the other good thing about this setup is that we're both in the same room as each other, which is ideal. Before we were doing a weird thing where she was in the living room and we were Skyping with each other, and
yeah, this
it's
feels
just more comfortable to be in the same room.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels more comfortable. It feels more organic and kind of go with the flow. So this is what we'll try today.
Yeah. Eventually we're going to get different microphones. So the way that we're actually recording this now is just off of one iPhone. And I've done it that way in the past with even older phones. So I'm sure the audio quality is going to be decent. But we'll definitely try to get it so that we've got directional microphones. If the heat kicks on in here, you won't hear it. Knock on wood, which you can hear because of the iPhone. But hopefully the heater isn't going to be too loud, or the refrigerator or whatever. But I mean, right now everybody's recording podcasts during the pandemic and mostly like over Skype. I feel like that's leveled the playing field so much.
Yeah.
You got everybody like on an iPhone or talking into their headphones, and the audio quality is not perfect. It's the content that has to be good.
that's the focus.
Right.
But as long as you can hear it, I mean, that's also important too.
And as far as the format of the show today goes, we are going to... I've just kind of written down a few things on my notepad that I want to talk about, some general topics. So I said after the first podcast, which you can find in this same feed, that we will probably like try out different formats and then just kind of settle on whatever seems natural. And the reason for that is that among all of my different hobbies and stuff, I love listening to talk radio and podcasts. So I listen to some that are about video games. I listen to some that are like just game shows. I listen to some that are food
cooking
related. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of unsolved mysteries and stuff like that too.
Right. So we could kind of hit on anything like that. And actually, you know, one of my favorite podcasts that I don't listen to anymore was the Adam Carolla show. And the format of that, it's a daily show, and they have different segments that they do throughout the week, and I kind of just like the rhythm of it. And I like that it's got a wide variety.
Yeah, we did stop listening to that one, but I like the format of that too. They had some like the Rotten Tomatoes game and like the news stories and the pop culture stuff and just kind of their opinions about all of that and where they stand on certain issues. And it was easy listening, definitely. I like, that was a good format.
Right.
Yeah.
Not super structured, but a little bit closer to like
But they had their set, you know,
right,
segments and whatever.
They all came from actual radio, so they had, you know, trained in like having a formatted show where like, you know, we don't have to hit our out so that somebody can establish like what radio station you're listening to and what time it is and what the traffic and weather is.
Right.
Like, we don't have to give updates, but maybe that would be fun to do.
They were also lucky enough to have, I forget what guy it was, but someone there doing like the drops and all of that, like the timing of stuff was like, you know, like he would kind of anticipate what they were going to say and have the drop like ready of whatever relevant sound clip they had on hand. So we're not that high tech yet, but
I think that it would be so fun to have so many different jobs like in radio, and that's probably the number one thing that I would love to do, to be the dude that plays the drops.
Yeah, you would be so good at that too.
I think that in actual radio, I think that person also is like that's the producer of the show and being like, okay, now you have to go to a commercial and stuff like that wouldn't be fun, but being able to play like little funny sound bites and stuff and like come up with those, that would be a lot of fun. Which maybe even in this podcast, when people are actually listening to it, maybe I will have added in some post-production, some sound
clips.
I think it's called like imaging, like sound imaging.
Yeah, that would be, I feel like you'd be good at that, because we do that a lot in our regular conversations anyway, just like referencing certain like quotes or just like inside joke type of stuff, but that would be fun to like incorporate that into this also with our
right. Yeah, eventually we'll be doing it that way. Eventually we'll have the microphone set up so that we can have this all running through, but that stuff is definitely a headache and it takes a little while to figure out, and we've got a lot of other hobbies. But this is something I want to be able to do at least like once a week, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it set up so that we can actually be in control of it. If you hear any other creaking around, that's the wooden chair that Abby's sitting in.
My old antique wooden chair that as I shift my body weight, it's very loud.
we might need some new office chairs in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about who Abby and I are. We're trying to do a show for you that sometimes it might be just us talking about a topic, and in those episodes we'll kind of play the role of researchers, and we might add opinion in here and there. I'm sure that we will, actually. But it won't be as necessary for you to kind of know who you're listening to as an episode like this, where we're really just kind of going to be throwing a bunch of shit at you like, hey, this is what we think's interesting, and hopefully you do too. So I am 30 years old, and I'm an artist. We both live in a small town in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region, which is a really beautiful region, and the town that we live in is actually very artsy, so me being an artist, growing up here, that probably did have a lot to do with why I wanted to become an artist. You know, probably the internet and comic books and stuff like that is what made me want to do it, and then living in a town where there is, you know, some viability to doing that probably has, you know.
Well, yeah, you've definitely, over, you know, the last 10 years, definitely added a lot to the art scene in this area with different murals and just your artwork in general. You've become, I'd say, pretty well known in this area for what you do, and, you know, your kind of trademark style and kind of a graffiti type of style, so.
Thank you, Yeah, I like I definitely wouldn't say that my style is exactly like what fits in with around here. It's the Finger Lakes, so it's a very beautiful scenery, and so there's a lot of like scenic landscape painters and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know so much about like the younger generation, the artists that are coming up, but, you know, it's kind of an issue here and in a lot of towns where, you know, if you are a younger artist and you don't want to be a landscape painter, then you might not stick around here. I think that there is a lot of things going on to try to keep younger artists in this area, but I think that wherever you are and listening to this, you could probably relate to a similar thing. It seems to go on all over the place. Like, if you're not living in a super progressive place, you're living in a place where if you're a young artist, you're trying to make it a little bit more progressive so that you don't have to just sadly be like, okay, well,
yeah,
I'm skipping town and maybe I'll come back when I'm retiring or something.
We live in an area where there are younger artists coming up and everything, and but we also have older generations where, for example, if you were to paint a mural, some people consider that organized graffiti and that kind of thing, where it's honestly that's not what it is at all. It's an art piece, you know, for the public to see and for the community to appreciate. But there are definitely still some older generations that don't quite that aren't quite with the times yet. But you've been lucky enough to have some good opportunities around here and everything, and hopefully continue to and grow yourself and your, you know, kind of your portfolio, I guess, of work.
Right. Yeah, luckily we do. I mean, for the most part, at least the general idea that you can't let all of your young artists leave is, it's at least in the minds of the older generation that are in control of things. So I've gotten to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You'll probably find that I've gotten to do a lot of things, and yet still I bitch and complain constantly about all the things that I haven't gotten to do. But
you will. There's good things coming, good opportunities coming, and it seems, we were just talking about today, like it just seems like some of the other local communities around here are starting to really appreciate the art scene and help to grow that. So, you know, hopefully there's more good things to come.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Abby here, my girlfriend, she is also an artist of many different
sorts.
art forms.
My regular day job, I work at a library in the children's department, which is, it's got a lot of challenges for me. It's not something I was totally, that was not really my like set career path, but it happened, and I've learned a lot from doing it, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable talking to kids for one, but also just groups of people, and kind of just letting myself go and be crazy and like not caring as much as I used to about, you know, how people are judging me. But
I think that it comes very naturally for Abby. She's from a family of like teachers. Yeah. Her brother's a teacher. Her mom was a teacher.
Yeah, and I was always like, I could never do that, and look where I am. So I do the story times for kids there. I do, and then just regular library stuff like, oh, where can I find this book and blah blah. I like, ask me about any kid's book.
I think that one of the big
find it for you.
One of the big hang-ups, I think, is that Abby she curses too much.
Yes,
in her mind to be in charge of the children's department.
There's been times at work I've had to catch myself.
You're good
like
at not swearing at work.
I've done it a few times. Like, you know, I'll drop a book or something, or like I can't find a book, and I'll be like, shit, and then I'll like, and I'm like, I hope nobody heard that. But you'd be surprised, in the library world, a lot of the people I work with are very similar. We can put on, you know, a child-friendly, happy persona, and then, you know, 5 seconds later you stub your toe and you're like, God damn it. Like, it's just the way it is. So that's my kind of regular, you know, full-time job during the day. But in my free time, I definitely like to focus my time on baking, and it's been growing a bit I'd say the last year especially. I've been taking on more orders and kind of experimenting with different recipes, and you know, to the point where now I'm going to be doing some weddings. I do like holiday orders, that kind of thing. So I've been trying to grow that. I've worked at bakeries in the past, and I've learned a lot from that, and I've kind of kept that passion for that stuff. So that's something I really like to consider as kind of a side job, I guess, and it's something I really enjoy doing in my time, and I think Brad enjoys, you know, his role in that, which is eating everything I make and being my professional taste tester most of the time.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a nice challenge. You know, somebody wants a certain cake or this and that. It's a good way to kind of push myself and just keep learning as I go. I still have a lot to learn in the baking world, but I've come a long way in the last few years, so I'm happy I get to keep doing that kind of on the side at my own pace. And then I also love just, you know, making homemade stuff to begin with. It's everything I make is from scratch, and
it's kind of like having the Great British Bake Off going on in your kitchen on an almost daily basis.
Yeah.
With less mincemeat.
Less dates and, like, prunes.
And no Paul Hollywood. So in some ways, it's better.
In some ways. Yeah.
Sometimes it gets equally as stressful.
And I don't refer to everything as pudding and crisps, but...
Well,
yeah, sort of. Yeah, so that's pretty much, I mean, our house a lot of the time is Brad working on his art projects, and I don't mean to say, like, arts and crafts, no, like, Brad working on his projects and jobs, and I'll be doing a lot of baking and projects like that in the kitchen, and then add in a couple of crazy cats and our crazy dog, and we're pretty busy a lot of the time here. So, but now we're trying out this podcast and hoping that goes well too.
Mm-hmm. Less time listening to podcasts
Yeah.
and actually working on one.
More doing.
Right. Yeah. So that we're going into, like, you know, even more holiday season, even more baking and stuff like that. So I think that we'll probably do that as a subject in the podcast coming up. Like, what are some of the different, like, goodies that Abby's baking?
Yeah.
We've got a YouTube channel right now that I think that we might end up making, like, a separate YouTube channel for just Abby's baking.
We should, yeah.
Because right now it's kind of mixed in with my different, like, mural painting videos or
Yeah.
me investigating the Mount Chiliad mystery in Grand Theft Auto.
It's a whole...
the variety.
There's
range.
a lot of random stuff peppered into that YouTube channel, I think. But yeah, we could focus just on the baking and cooking too. We do a lot of cooking in our spare time also. We don't do a lot of traditional, like, American, like, meatloaf and, like, basic meals. We really like to...
If we do, we keep it a secret.
Yeah, nobody knows.
We don't put that on the gram.
When we eat, what is, like, hot dogs and...
Hot dog stroganoff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Just kidding, made that up. That could be good.
What,
that
Skyline Chili? Is that...
If we did Skyline Chili, I would have to take some pictures of
hot
that.
What is that again? Hot dogs on spaghetti?
It's chili.
Oh, it's chili on spaghetti. That's right.
It's especially sweet and cinnamony chili on spaghetti. I've never actually had it.
Hard pass for me. A sweet chili to me doesn't sound that good. I know a lot of chilies are on this video. I prefer more of a spicy, like, savory.
I need it to be balanced. I think that I do want a good amount of sweetness in my chili, but I want it to be, you know, if the more sweet it is, I think the more spicy it could also be.
It's true. Well, you were saying recently you wanted to try chili with chocolate in it.
Yeah.
Which is, I've heard of that before. Like, Mexican hot chocolate is kind of a spicy hot chocolate. Like, I could see how that could work with the sweetness and the spice and stuff of the chili, but... It could also go very wrong if you did too much chocolate or too much sugar or something like that.
Right.
You know?
I suspect that maybe you could just continue to add more acidity and more spice to balance it out. I think that there's probably... When Abby and I started trying to cook more Asian-inspired dishes, I figured out, like, that though I would often see in recipes, like, add sugar to this. And I would think, well, I don't really like my savory things to be sweet, so I'm going to take the sugar out of that. But then you would go to a restaurant and you would order a similar dish and it would taste so much better than the way that you make it at home. And you're like, what is it? And you have to realize, okay, so maybe at some point somebody glazed your ham a little bit too heavily and you decided that you didn't want sugar, you know, but you do. You really need to get a good balance. So there's not...
Yes.
I do a lot less. I mean, star anise, that was something that I really did not... I did not like that licorice-y flavor in a lot of things, but man, making a Vietnamese broth or something, having that star anise in there really does taste great, so...
I was similar where I would omit certain ingredients thinking... Sugar also, thinking like, okay, I don't want like a sweet, you know, dipping sauce for my egg roll or whatever, like, but... Those ingredients, sugar, those little spices, even cinnamon in some things, like I know I was joking about it, but sometimes that does make, that's what makes it, you know, like when you go to a restaurant and you're like, why is there more depth to this dish? Why is this so much more well-rounded than when I make it at home? Because they're adding probably MSG for one, but also like those little ingredients that you think that you don't need, but if in moderation and when you get the right amount, like a little sugar and like a dumpling dipping sauce, like brown sugar, is actually in so many Asian dishes that you wouldn't think, because you don't consider them to be really sweet, but with just a little bit in there, it makes it so much more well-rounded and balanced, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially with the spice and then like, you know, the green onion and scallions and stuff, and it just makes for a really, oh, now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, I'm like, oh, Asian, or dumpling dipping sauce with like chili oil or something. Oh, my God.
Oh yeah, chili. So to bring it back to chili.
Oh yeah, so let's talk chili.
That definitely is, you know, I think that the best chilies that I've had are not chilies that I've made, and maybe some of that like deeper mole, like chocolate flavor is the thing that I'm looking for in the chili. So I want to try it, you know. Yeah,
so when you eat chili, what kind of meat do you like in the chili?
I generally like, you know, I think that some of the best chili that I've had like little bits of like steak in it, more like than hamburger meat, and I really like that one. But when I make a chili, I try to do a mixture of burger and sausage.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because I know a lot of people just do the ground beef, but I could see like some pork sausage in there also.
Some chuck and sausage.
Some chuck and sausage and boiled hot dogs too. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I'm the same. I would say, and same when you're making like meatballs or something like that, like even or lasagna, like in an Italian dish. I like the combination of ground beef and sausage. It makes it. I do think it adds some depth to the flavor, definitely.
Yeah, big on sausage.
Yeah, we eat a lot of sausage, a lot of pork products.
Yeah,
we honestly like.
We definitely do.
Yeah, between the ramen we eat and.
This is not a vegetarian podcast.
No, we are a triple meat, double the steak.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be a subject that we talk about too, because
cheese.
we're definitely not vegetarians, but we definitely it's something that we're conscious of, trying to not be a part of the factory farming thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to not be, but I don't know, we don't buy our meat from Walmart. That's got to count for something.
Right. And you know, when it's in season, when there are local farmers markets and that kind of stuff, we do try to support the the farms there that are selling meat. You know, I'm trying to think of, what did I get at the last farmers market for us? Actually, I've gotten some really good bacon. One time we got pork jowl from the local farmers market, and we made guanciale. We made some good, like a pasta dish with that. And they actually have a really nice selection of meat usually when they do go to the farmer's market. And it's nice in the summer too, when the vegetables are in season also. But we also have a garden that we tried to grow a lot of stuff this year too, and did pretty well overall, I'd say.
Yeah. I think that's good podcast subject fodder though, because it's something that I like juggle in my brain all the time. I'm like, man, I love meat and I cannot take meat out of my diet, but you know, thinking of different ways. Every time you hear about Burger King having a new, a fake meat thing, I'm like, man, if it's good, then that would be awesome. Which, you know what? I never did.
But it's Burger King.
Because we never went to Burger King. I never did try that. Impossible. I don't know if they still have it. If they do, then that would be a great indicator that this is a viable thing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's no, I hear people all the time. I'm friends with many people that are vegetarian. Actually, one of my friends right now is just pregnant and just can't really stomach meat, so she's been eating a lot more vegetarian stuff. And then I have other friends that have tried the Impossible Burger type of thing, Impossible Meat, and say you can't tell the difference. But we, as like, you know, tried and true meat eaters, I feel like we would be able to tell the difference. I don't know. We'd have to try it, you know.
I've had tofu that I liked, you know.
I have not.
No?
No.
Well, you might have had tofu that you didn't realize that protein you were eating is tofu, hopefully. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's...
Note to self, cue the vegetarian Christmas song that we heard yesterday on iTunes.
What was that? Oh my, he's talking about like boiled or steamed vegetables or something. Like roasted vegetables.
Roasted vegetables.
Listen, I love roasted vegetables.
That was a funny song.
With
we'll throw it in
chicken
here.
or
You'll be hearing it now.
That's and cue it up.
So that is one of the things on our list here. I think I want to eventually, I know we're not doing visual for this one, but if we do this idea of mine, we'll have to make things more visual, but we can have a big spinning wheel of topics.
Yes.
I will just spin the wheel, and wherever the topic wheel lands on is what we have to talk about.
It'll just be a wheel of different meats that we have to talk about, as we could, honestly.
Talk about prosciutto.
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time.
So right now I've just got a notebook, and we have eating, check,
checkmate.
Check. Take eating off the list. We talked about that one. How about, let's talk about the news story. One of the only slightly pre-prepared.
Yeah.
Loose terms there, pre-prepared. Like 5 minutes before I pressed record, we looked up I looked up on Twitter, what is the number one trending topic on Twitter? And it is Thursday, December, what is the date?
Today's the...
December 3rd. Yep, it's December 3rd. And around 1 o'clock, the number one trending thing in the world of Twitter was ghosts. So I thought that was a really good thing to use as a topic. But we clicked on why ghosts are trending, and
it's so much deeper.
Just like everything in the world these days, it ties into politics.
Yep. So
ghost politics. And here's Abby, the news girl, with more on that.
So yeah, we looked at this about 5 minutes before this started, because really this story, I mean, you really don't need... So this story is Trump fraud witness also believed ghosts are haunting his family.
Coming from the Daily Beast.
It says right under it then in red, he sees dead people. Yeah, thank you, Daily Beast, for writing this up. This is, this article made me laugh. So basically, it's about this truck driver named Jesse Morgan who believes... This guy has a rich history with ghosts, but he believes that he was delivering mail and he saw in his mind's eye what he believed it was like in real life, thousands of ballots with return addresses filled out. He says thousands of them.
So
thousands.
He's a whistleblower.
Yes.
He's a Trump moron whistleblower in Pennsylvania for claiming falsely that he witnessed election fraud.
Yes. And as it turns out, those ballots that he claimed to see, thousands and thousands of ballots, they never existed. And what's interesting about this guy is just like he saw those ballots, he also, in his personal life, claims to have seen a shadow person. He lived in one house where he claimed he saw a shadow person walking around in his attic. Let me see if I can find it here.
So is this guy...
shadow person, yeah.
So he's a UPS driver, right? Or USPS or UPS? I guess we don't want to...
truck driver, I don't...
Yeah, I think that at one point he's delivering mail. He was delivering the ballots, so he...
But what? Like, is he just a truck driver and then he, like... Or is he actually a mail... I don't know, like... Was he... I don't know. Was he actually, like, delivering mail, or is he... Okay.
The article, it says that he's that he worked for the USPS or UPS.
He claimed at a press conference that he had unwittingly driven a truck full of suspicious mail-in ballots from New York to Pennsylvania ahead of Election Day.
So he's a ballot smuggler.
Yeah.
Which none of that stuff, other than the part which is very interesting that none of it was true, and he has now had to admit that he did not actually witness that. He just thought that he did, and he was incorrect. But the more interesting part of this is his other career as a paranormal investigator. He loses points for being a Trump moron, but he gains points
it kind of
for being
out.
a paranormal investigator. I wouldn't have hung out with him, but if we were hunting ghosts together, as long as we didn't talk about politics, I probably would be down to hunt some shadow people with this guy.
I mean, I don't know.
If he converts the van, if he converts his delivery truck into, like, you know...
The Ghostmobile?
Yeah, something with a ghost detector.
Yeah.
What are those things called? The
Spirit
radio,
box?
The spirit box, yeah.
It sounds like that's kind of what he did do. So his first success came with a 2016 video about a shadow person living in his basement from where he claimed to hear strange noises. Morgan claims, "I will not raise my daughters in a place that is haunted."
I'm on board with that.
And apparently he caught the shadow person on camera. Well, then he moved and claimed that a new shadow person was haunting his new house. Not the same one as the last one, the whole new shadow person.
Did the second one looked a little bit different, or...?
Well, according to this article, the shadow person in the video looks suspiciously similar to a normal human wearing a black morph suit. So, peeking at him from the stairs.
And I think that a morph suit is like one of those... Like, there's the green screen ones, or what was the thing from Always Sunny? Wasn't that one of the... Dayman and Nightman? Weren't they just wearing morph suits?
It was like a tight, like a cat suit looking tight, like skin suit.
Under Armour for your whole body.
So, this guy has...
Which is what a ghost would probably look like, too, so...
That sounds like a shadow person, but was it, like, actually, like, his brother or somebody in costume, like, slinking around trying to be a shadow person?
Was it actually Nightman?
Was
This guy's from Pennsylvania.
You tell us. Yeah. So then he moved. I haven't seen the shadow guy since then. Morgan and his 3 brothers, his brothers, I guess this is a family thing, they also have the gift. His brothers also claim to have been haunted. And they eventually went on to make a low-budget documentary. So, tying this back into politics, clearly this guy has, like, no credentials in terms of, I don't know why he would try to tie this to the election and claim that he saw imaginary ballots. But it kind of fits in with this, election, honestly, just how people are batshit crazy about
I don't like
things.
how they claim that his documentary was low budget. I mean, people make great documentaries without any money at all. Like, I don't
for those
hold
interested,
that against him.
It's called the Shadows Amongst Us. It's about a family haunted by paranormal events despite living in different parts of the country. So yeah, I guess his whole family experiences the same issues.
I bet you that the first title for that was the Brotherhood of the Traveling Morphsuit, because they would just one person would film themselves in one state with that morphsuit on, pop it in the mail, send it to their cousin. I mean, if it's probably the same ghost, if it's the same morphsuit. Right?
Most likely. Maybe the ghost is following the morphsuit. I don't know. But according to Morgan, if you want to get a little bit deeper into his experience with ghosts, I should say the shadow person, he claims it lives off of your emotion. It lives off of stress. It lives off of dysfunction. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid. As crazy and stupid as it sounds, you walk around your house and say, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave." It's helped me 1,000 times, to tell you the truth. So.
You read that part of the article out loud before we started the show, and now you said it now. And every time you say it, I feel a little bit safer.
Now I feel more prepared for when we need to. I feel like now we can prevent this from happening because we have the tools we have our toolbox filled of things we can say and do to prevent the shadow people from haunting us.
Hopefully the fact that our house always smells like garlic.
Kimchi. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, yes. Well, that's more for vampires, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the Frog Brothers used it for all sorts of things.
Well, I guess this guy's documentary got horrible scores on Amazon.
But it was on Amazon? Oh my god.
2.1 out of 5 stars. And they put the term documentary in quotes, so that's how you know it's legit.
Well, I mean, we listen to another podcast that we love is How Did This Get Made? Which is, I think that's got to be one of the most popular podcasts in the world.
Yeah.
It's been going for so long.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's something that seems like almost everybody knows about if you've ever listened to a podcast. But they did Governor Gabby, which was a movie that we watched parts of. And that was... I'm thinking that we need to make a low-budget documentary or feature film.
Honestly...
Because they're selling that on Amazon. You can't watch it for free. You have to actually pay to rent... this documentary, which I haven't seen it. It could be great.
How Did This Get Made needs to watch it, because we should watch it, honestly.
Can do a review of this guy's documentary.
It got horrible reviews. Somebody says it's like listening to your most boring coworker drone on and on, so...
Well, second opinion.
I'm still curious, honestly. I want to learn more about the shadow people, and this guy's crazy.
I think that it's a good thing that our fledgling podcast does not have any listeners, because I don't actually want to give this guy any more...
Yeah, that's true. Any more
for his
momentum.
His own mental health more than anything else. Just try to... This guy needs to spend some time really looking at himself in the mirror.
Well... This article kind of goes on to say this guy struggled with mental health issues and addiction, and he spent some time in jail, so I don't know. Should we take his word? Did he really see those ballots? I don't know.
Well...
Only the Electoral College can decide, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at the tally chart. There's things that I like about this guy, and there's things that I find questionable about him.
Brad and I are very interested in... the Ghoul Boys, like those ghost hunting shows. I do find that haunted houses and stuff we find to be really interesting, but... Yeah,
shout out to Ryan Bagara and Shane Madej.
Love them. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Love their shows. We love when they go to the haunted places and, like, spend the night there, and
I think that they're very brave, too, because... I mean, maybe if we had a film crew with us, we would be emboldened to go do something like that. But, I mean, I love listening to true stories about ghosts, and I like watching scary movies, but I will not be going into even the fakest haunted house. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to try to get myself to, though.
I think I could do it, but spending the night there when it's just absolute... Well, so I guess
spending the night is really...
I'm used to going to bed listening to a podcast, like, in my ear, so I don't... It's never, like, dead silent in this house.
That's how I'm trying to drown out the whispers of the ghosts in our house already, is I'm always just listening to a podcast, so I can blame whatever little bumps of the night on that.
Oh, yeah, the sound must have glitched, or whatever, but... But yeah, spending the night in a haunted house, it would be a whole nother story for me. Actually, that movie we watched about Bigfoot, where they go camping and spend the night in the woods where there's an alleged Bigfoot around. Yeah, that was Bobcat Goldthwait's Willow Creek, which is an excellent found footage horror movie about Bigfoot. I love that movie. I won't give too much away, but there's a scene towards the end where they're camping, and the beginning of the movie is kind of lighthearted and silly, and you kind of like get to know these people a little bit, but there's something about like the dead silence of night where you can hear every little crack and step and noise. It just, I don't know, that's what scares me the most about thinking about staying the night somewhere, is like you have no choice but to just, you're surrounded by silence, and then you can hear everything so vividly. I know, and we've talked about how we want to do that. We want to go camping in an off the beaten trail kind of place and have like a real like kind of solitude camping experience where you're not at a campground and where you have neighbors and facilities right next to you. But even just watching that movie, I kind of was like, you have to be a little bit careful. Well, we're not in Bigfoot country, so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Well, we're pretty close to the Ohio Grassman. Okay. Well, there's that, I guess. But now we also have a dog, so I feel like, and he picks up on every little noise too. Like, I swear he can hear animals outside even when he's sleeping in our room at night, and he'll bark or, growl or sniff around. So we haven't taken him camping yet, but I think he would be a good alert dog for us if there were something out there, Well, and as far as paranormal things go, that is, Bigfoot is one of the only cryptids that actually is known to attack dogs, so we do have to worry about that. Which I'm sure whoever's listening to this already knew that fact. That's basic knowledge, yeah. Skunk apes do not really like the domestic dog.
Very common knowledge.
The common dog. Okay, well...
Are we done with this news article?
I'm done. I have to mentally separate myself from this just because...
We'll reach out to this guy's representation. We'll see if he would like to make any follow-up comments with us, because we did, I feel like giving him the opportunity to defend himself, after we've already kind of dragged him a little bit on the air.
I think he's going to double down and stick with what his story. He seems like he... is not one to admit when he is wrong, except, he did go to jail for, forgery, so, legally he was proven that he faked some stuff, but it seems like he won't do that on his own volition. So, we might just have to leave this one be.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking here, we don't have too much prepared for the show, but I think that we've done a good job. I think we've hit on some interesting things. That, I don't know if that subject right there, would that have been, that's serious news talk. That's not pop culture talk, right?
No, that's definitely breaking, headline. Was this on CNN?
It's on the Daily Beast, which is just as good.
So yes, let's just say yes.
Yes, thank you to the Daily Beast for this wonderful article and this trending topic on Twitter today.
Oh, I didn't realize Trump actually shared this on Twitter.
Yes.
Okay, so quickly,
so that makes it serious
before
news.
we move on, so yeah, just talking about credibility, Donald J. Trump did share this guy's story. Oh my god.
It's Trump, the Daily Beast, and the Backstream podcast.
The three
amigos.
The three amigos. Oh god. Yeah.
Well,
I hate that Trump shared that and gave that guy any more following, or whatever Trump's following is. Ugh, okay.
The other big thing that was going on today in pop culture, which Trump also very well may have tweeted about or responded to in some way, was Chet Hanks defending his use of Jamaican patois lingo.
So...
Which I did not do my research on this because I didn't feel like it was important enough for me to actually listen to Chet Hanks, who, if you do not know, Chet Hanks... Sorry, Tom. You're gonna have to tell the world here. Tom Hanks has a son named Chet, who is a rapper. No, not Colin, the actor.
We love Colin Hanks.
Colin seems like
Colin's cool.
A very level-headed dude. But yes, there is, I don't know if he's the younger or older. I think he must be the youngest brother, but he is a rapper. I don't know what kind of, he's a SoundCloud rapper.
Jamaican, maybe? Or just of Jamaican, I don't know. So, do you know, you don't know much about the story. I know we didn't look too much into it, but...
I feel like I got the most important parts of it. Other than he was on a talk show within the past 24 hours, and I do not remember the name of that talk show, or if it was a TV or radio, what the format was.
But it was on a talk show. He started just speaking with a Jamaican accent.
Or maybe somebody called and asked about his use of or maybe one of the hosts asked about it. I did not know. I thought that it was a controversial thing, only that Tom Hanks had a son that was a rapper. I didn't know that there were actual people paying attention close enough to his rapping to have controversies specific to his lyrics, but... Yeah,
I wonder, we should look into more of his lyrics.
Maybe we'll end the show with a Chet Hanks song. Jamaican.
Cue it up. Oh, no. Yeah, we love... So I love Tom Hanks as an actor. I think he's great. We love Colin Hanks. We just watched season 1 of Fargo, and he was in that and did a great... Or no, he was season 1, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was great in that. P.S. Watch Fargo. It's a great show. Colin Hanks is a great actor, too. He's been in also Orange County.
Yeah. Funny movie.
Yeah, some other movies. So he's a very successful actor also. I feel like the world doesn't know much about Chet Hanks. And maybe it's for a good reason.
I think that there's a cover-up. I think that there's actually a conspiracy to keep the world mostly ignorant of Chet Hanks. Or maybe people are listening to this and they're like, I've got Chet Hanks as my ringtone.
Chet Hanks.
So.
Chet Hanks. Oh, Chet Hanks, what is that, the callback when you call somebody, what is it called? And it, like, the song,
the
like,
ring
back tone.
Yeah.
is Chet Hanks rapping with a Jamaican accent.
Yeah, maybe the world knows about it and Abby and I are just kind of oblivious to this, but
maybe it's time we learn.
I mean, I think that we are in the category of people that we probably do not experience cultural appropriation in the same way that, like in this instance, that Jamaicans might feel about Chet Hanks using a fake Jamaican accent. So, like, to give I certainly, I would say that I feel like it feels very benign because that's an accent that so many people fake and do, you know. That the idea I'm more offended that people are paying enough attention to Chet Hanks.
Right, no, it is, and you know what, we do have to look into more of what he actually said and, like, what context, but if that just was the way he was speaking, thinking like, oh, it's okay for me to just, like, take on this accent now, that's kind of messed up. Clearly he's not Jamaican. He doesn't need to, like, be appropriating that and acting like that's the way he speaks. If it was, like, as a joke, I mean, that's probably not cool either, but...
I've heard Andy Milonakis do it a lot of times.
Well, that's fine. No, I'm just kidding. Rightfully so.
And no. I don't remember if he was criticized for that or not, but, yeah, I mean, it is definitely one of those things where it's like, it's probably, to me, it just is more controversial that Tom Hanks has a son who's a rapper.
Hasn't he been in the news for other stuff, too? I feel like he's had some other, like, minor scandals, maybe.
Recently, within the last year, when Tom Hanks was so publicly, like, the first celebrity to announce that he tested positive for having the coronavirus, I think that Tom was doing regular video, like, updates on how he was doing with the illness and trying to kind of explain it to the world. And then I think that Chet was also doing his own videos about, I don't know if Chet had COVID or if he was just, like, this is his hot take on
his dad's COVID diagnosis.
Right, yeah. I think that's kind of what it was.
Hashtag, like, trying to stay relevant, trying to stay in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we're probably jerks for picking on him, but you know what? For the next podcast, we're going to do more research about exactly what was going on with this accent. Yeah. With this accent, and we should have enough time after we have Jesse Morgan, truck driver from Pennsylvania, on, and we'll save a little bit of time at the end, and we'll have Chet come on and explain himself.
His take on this situation.
Yeah.
That's probably the wisest thing to do.
Well, maybe we should actually try to find somebody who's Jamaican also.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe can have them have a debate. And it would be less work for us on the next episode.
I don't think I know any people firsthand that live in Corning that are... Actually, one of the teachers at one of the places I do story times at is Jamaican. But
well,
so she came up to me in the grocery store the other day and she was like, I'm not going to do the accent, but I caught myself.
She almost did it.
No, but she was like, oh, we miss you, like, you know, and she was really sweet, and she had a very strong Jamaican accent. She's awesome.
You have to at least reach out to her and ask her,
what's her take on Chet Hanks?
Just say, listen, what do you think about Chet Hanks?
What is the Jamaican community, in Corning specifically, what are they? No, and honestly, like, we do have to do more research, because if he said some really offensive stuff or whatever, we're not trying to joke about that, but, you know.
Yeah, I do wake up in the morning and I look at my Twitter feed and I check out the top trending things and I ignore the K-pop related ones and I see what's important and because I'm not interested in music news. I'm interested in world news.
But your favorite
But it's always something very aggravating.
Gabby does K-pop or whatever.
Yeah. All right, so look for those Gabby movies on YouTube.
Governor Gabby.
There's plenty of the Gabby series movies that I think that they're free to watch on YouTube. And that'll be a good Friday night for you.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Fargo, and let's just talk about that briefly. That's just a show we're watching. We're on season 3. For those that have watched Fargo so far, so we're on season 3. I think actually season 1 with Colin Hanks is my favorite season so far.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I think they do a really good job doing the Minnesota accent and bringing you into that really, really small town feel and like what happens when there's like a local small town murder. I really like that show.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3 has taken a whole, I won't give anything away, but it's taken a really weird turn just from seasons 1 and 2, I guess. But that's the show we're watching right now, and I really like it.
Yeah, I really like it too. It's interesting. I've been like trying to think about, there is some sort of a formula that you can see that is kind of parallel in different Coen Brothers things that the Coen Brothers work on. Even if it's, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Mm-hmm. Or if it's the movie Fargo, there are some similarities in just everything that they do. And you could, if you really picked up on that too much, I think that you could start getting a little bit bored with Coen Brother things because you would recognize that formula. And not that I've heard too many people ever say that they do get bored with it, but I really feel like, I guess I was trying to just figure out, like, why is it that I am endlessly interested in things that the Coen Brothers make, and though I do recognize some sort of a pattern there. And I kind of feel like, though there is stylistically things that they do in all of their art, I think that there is also something about the way that they are taking a true story, especially in the cases of these Fargo TV show and the movie, based on real events. And then it's almost like they see parallels, like looking at things from a dark comedy kind of a lens, mm-hmm. and that just reading a news article about a botched, family member stole from another family member and they're trying to keep it a secret, the simple plan idea, everything went wrong and it was all just such a simple plan. Mm-hmm. I think that they themselves are recognizing some similar parallels in those true events mm-hmm. that happen, that you could relate it to another thing.
Well, and these are all based on true events, and just to think that seasons 1, 2, and 3 are all tied back to the place Fargo is really interesting in mm-hmm. itself. That all of these wildly different but like dark mysteries and crimes are tied back to Fargo somehow. It's like, and it's all true. It's crazy, mm-hmm. but they do such a good job, especially like season 1. The casting I thought was awesome. The woman that played Molly, and I forget the actress's actual name, but she was so much fun to watch. And just their little phrases, like oofda, like their little Minnesota phrases. It's just I think they just did a really good job with it. But season 3, Season 3 seems darker to me than seasons 1 and 2. Just in terms mm-hmm. of like, there's some scenes that are really hard to watch.
Yeah,
there's gross.
There's an extra grossness level to it this time that the kind of big bad guy in the first season, I think that they did try hard to. He had charm. But then also they're showing you like his true darkness or mm-hmm. whatever, and I think that they maybe wanted you to think that he was more like an analog for the devil or something like mm-hmm. that. And then now the big bad in the 3rd season, I am actually getting this feeling that he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be interesting to do a spoiler cast version of it, because even like there is kind of there's like some symbolism in the 1st season that the big bad guy is a wolf.
Yeah.
And now in the 3rd season, the big bad guy, really, I think the symbolism is that he is a demon.
Yeah.
Like, he truly is.
Well, they did have the whole Peter and the Wolf intro, Peter and the Wolf intro.
Right.
So I think wolves are kind of a recurring theme in this show in each season, maybe.
Yeah. It's just beautiful how it can be so layered and so complex and so many vibrant characters, and and the town as a character, and just everything does end up coming together like so many TV shows fail to actually do.
No, you get kind of a good sense of closure with certain things, and it does, like, so many things are all over the place, and you're like, how does this relate to this? And then in the end you're like, oh, that's how those people are related. And they do a really good job connecting the dots over the course of each season, but each season is so different. And yet has their similarities. It's just done really well. Like, it definitely keeps you watching. And even how gross season 3 is with this, there's just one character who's just, we've had to turn our heads away and like refrain from gagging at certain scenes, but I'm still like, I gotta see what happens next.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched Fargo at all yet, then congratulations, because you have, I think, almost 4 complete seasons now that you could watch. Soon it will be 4 complete seasons. And if you have watched any of it, feel free to write to us and give us some feedback about what some of your thoughts were. That's an interesting debate that I've seen on Reddit, is how would you rank the 4 seasons of Fargo now? It's hard to rank them. There's not anyone in there. I mean, we haven't seen any of the 4th season yet, but there's nothing in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd that's like, none of them are stinkers.
Well, I didn't realize before we started watching it that there are some really big actors and actresses that play these roles. I didn't really know much about the show before we started watching, but like Billy Bob Thornton's in it. The guy that played Lester in the 1st season. I can never remember his name, but
famous from Lord of the Rings movies and all sorts of different British comedies and stuff.
Ewan McGregor is in season 3 and has just a couple crazy characters in that, and some big names, but it's cool that each season is different actors and actresses. It's really interesting because you get to kind of know a whole new cast each season and all new stories.
That's so funny to me too, because when we were younger, that was like, you didn't see. It would have been huge news. It would have been great, like, publicity for whatever the TV project was if you could have been like, oh, we've got this film actor who is actually going to be in it. And now we're to the point where, like, I mean, Chris Rock is in the 4th season. I believe he's one of the main characters in the 4th season of Fargo, and I don't think that that's something that it doesn't have like a ton of buzz around it at all. It's just, I'm excited. We're not that surprised that you've got all these big name movie actors, because TV's a lot higher quality now.
Well, and like, there are some people that are typically like in comedic roles or stand-up comedians playing some of these roles, and it's just interesting to see how, like, their serious take. The guy in the last season we watched, Boheme.
That's a tough name.
He was the best character though.
Yeah, he was excellent. He was great.
Yeah. So I think I read he's normally like a stand-up comedian.
Right.
Such a good character though.
Captivating, interesting, so cool. There's very few things and I don't even quite understand what the level of involvement is that the Coen brothers have in the show, because they're not the director. I feel bad that I can't remember the actual director's name, but that's another fascinating thing about it. I mean, you would not think that anytime you see, okay, Scorsese is tangentially involved in Boardwalk Empire. You know, Boardwalk Empire, it was a fine show, but definitely not, the hand of Scorsese on every episode. But there is this, I don't know if maybe it's just like that it's so potent, the overall style of the Coen brothers, that they just need to kind of give little nudges to keep it in line, or how exactly that works. But
even the soundtrack, a lot of it, there was even some songs that were like from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But I should also say, from seasons 1 through 3, the soundtrack is like all over the place, and they do such a good job choosing like totally random. I guess they're not random; they make sense with the scene, but totally songs you wouldn't expect with just different genres, different artists, like. But somehow it all flows in each episode and kind of works with like whatever's going on in that episode. But it ranges from like country music to what was the guy that Hank Williams, I think it was, last night.
Yeah.
And then the
songs from Italian variety shows
right,
from the
yes.
70s.
Yeah. But somehow it works. It's just, it kind of just adds to whatever's going on screen. It's super cool. We recommend it.
Yeah, the whole thing comes together in a great package. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really fun to get enough people listening to our podcast here that you could actually have more of a back and forth conversation with what other people thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would love to do, is just to be able to discuss things more. I mean,
and it's hard because
the Coen brothers are probably a little bit busy to get them on a podcast, but
I'll give them a call.
I would be happy with just one Coen brother.
Just Coen brother. Yeah, we could probably.
Ethan.
Is that one of their names?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's an Ethan Coen. There's one of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Give Ethan a call. We'll give him a text, even.
Right, yeah.
But it's hard talking about shows because I don't want to give any spoilers because I really want people to watch Fargo. It's so good.
Yeah.
But maybe if we do a future episode where we give a big spoiler alert at the beginning, a big warning, and then we can talk freely about the things that happen without ruining anybody's life.
Definitely. So, for this right now, as far as we know, I don't have some amazing sounding outro for us to play. But
air horn. Maybe
in the future, when people are actually listening to this, you will be hearing where to find our websites and our Instagram and our all of that stuff.
MySpace.
Yes, our MySpace profiles. I think that we're going to try to have another podcast for next week. That's the goal. Try to do one a week.
For anyone listening, feel free to, if you have any ideas of what you'd like us to talk about or anything you're interested in, let us know. Reach out to us. Brad will put all the contact info, I'm sure, in intro, outro, whatever. But let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yep. Order cupcakes from Abby.
Order some paintings and some Christmas gifts for your family from Brad. Order a nice, big...
And have a holly jolly Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to the second episode. We can be reached on our Instagrams, our social media accounts. Abby is at Abby Bakes. ABBYBAKEZ on Instagram. And you can find me on Instagram at brad.fjord. That's Ford with a J in it. FJORD. And you can also check out my website, bradleiby.com. That's LEIBY.